Children, now let us think and discuss. Here the first one, let us stretch a rubber band. Is there any change in its shape? See children, very often we do this children. When we stretch the rubber band like this, okay, is there any change in its shape? Yes, of course. Okay, so the answer is yes. Yes, when you stretch a rubber band, there is a change in its shape. Is rubber band a solid or a liquid, children? Is rubber band okay, is rubber band solid or liquid? So rubber band is a solid. Okay, so the answer is solid. And the question is why it is considered as solid. Here if you will observe, maybe when we stretch the rubber band it changes in its shape. That is that doesn't mean that is not a liquid. It is not a liquid. Okay, the molecules which are present in the rubber band are very close to each other, and at the same time once you will stretch and release it, it regains its shape. It regains its shape. That is due to elasticity the rubber band is stretching. So here, is rubber band as a solid, liquid? So the answer is solid. And why? So the question is why. So why it is considered as solid? Because, here see, because rubber band has, if you will observe, because of elasticity, the shape is changed. Because of elasticity, the shape is changed. Moreover, the molecules in a rubber band are very close. So this is the answer. So actually, rubber band, we don't think that it is a liquid. Yes, it changes its shape. When you stretch the rubber band, it changes its shape. But that is not due to the fluid. Actually, liquids changes its shape. Liquids occupies the shape of the container. So here, due to elasticity only, it is changing its shape. Again, if you release that, it regains its original shape. And how can you tell that rubber band is a solid? Because the molecules in a solid are very close to each other. The same thing happens here. And next one, what will happen if the stretching is too much? What will happen if the stretching is too much? If the stretching is too much, it loses its elasticity and breaks. So it breaks. Which one breaks? Rubber band breaks. So this is the answer. Next, third question. So before going to the third question, let us have an analysis. Take some finely powdered salt, not crystals. Actually, salt is in the form of either crystals or finely powdered salt. That is called as table salt. What we use for cooking and for tasting the things is there. No, that is called as a powdered salt. Take some finely powdered salt and keep it in 2 different jars. Okay. Now what you have to do? Keep it in 2 different jars. Can you say that the salt is a liquid on the basis of changes in its shape? For example, if you keep the salt in this shape of jar, so this is powdered salt. Okay. So when you will place the powdered salt in this shape of jar, yes, it occupies this shape. When you will pour in the shape of container, okay, it occupies this shape. So that doesn't mean it is a liquid. Okay, the powdered salt is also a solid. The powdered salt is also a solid, but the fine particles, okay, occupies the shape of the container. But how can you tell that it is a solid? Why? Because if you will observe each grain acts like a solid. The particles are very close to each other. So here, can you say that salt is a liquid on the basis of change in its shape? No. So the answer, which shape does the powdered salt takes place? Which shape which shape does the powdered salt, which shape does the powdered salt takes place? So what is the answer? Shape of the container. It occupies or it takes the shape of container or jar. But it can be considered as solid only, not liquid. Usually liquids take the shape of the container. Okay, that doesn't mean that powdered salt is a liquid. Why? Because if you'll observe each and every grain that acts as a solid, why? Because the intermolecular space is negligible. Okay, right. So next one, here see, justify your answer. Can you say that salt is a liquid on the basis of change in its shape? No, it is not a liquid. Why? Because if you will place or if you will pour the salt, okay, on or spill it on the floor, the particles due to air they may move, but okay, they are not having the property of a fluid. Yes or no? They are not having the property of a fluid. So next one, observe its shape. Here see, justify your answer. So here it takes the shape of the container. That doesn't mean it is a liquid. And here, how can you justify the answer? Yeah, children, now the answer for justification here is yes, powdered salt is considered as a solid, though they occupy the shape of the container, they are not considered as liquid. Why? Because we observe each and every grain have the properties of solids only. Okay, right. So next one, here see, can you compress? Now you can go for, here see, you can take a sponge. Here see children, this is a sponge. Yes or no? This is sponge. Can you compress the sponge? Is it a, first of all, before compressing, I will ask one question. Is it a solid or a liquid or a gas? Is it a solid or a liquid or a gas? Yes, everyone tells that this is a solid. Why? Because this is having particular shape and definite volume. Yes or no? Fine. Now I am compressing. Yes, I am compressing. So usually gases are compressible. Can you consider this sponge as a gas? Yes or no? No. The sponge is not considered as a gas, though it is compressed. Why? Because here see, when you compress the sponge, in between the sponge, here see, in between the sponge particles, the air will be there. The air comes out. The air comes out. When you will compress the sponge, the air comes out. Okay, and when you will release the sponge, again the air will be entering inside and making as a solid only. So please don't consider this as a gas. Okay, so here once again I'll see here. Can you compress it? Can you compress it? Can you compress? It means sponge. Can you compress the sponge? Yes, we can compress. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. Is it a solid, children? Yes, it is a solid. It is a solid. Yes, we can compress. It is a solid. And why do you think it is a solid? Because when you compress the sponge, air comes out of it. Air comes out of it. And when you release it, air enters into the sponge. Air enters into the sponge and regains its original shape. So simply on compressing, only the air is coming out. Okay, and when you release it, again it is having the particular. And why it is considered as solid? Why? Because here also the same, the particles, okay, the particles are acting like solids only. The property is resembling the solids only. Why can't you be able to compress a wooden block? Can you able to compress a wooden block, children? No, it is not possible. Okay, so the answer for that question is no. Okay, so the question is, why can't you okay, able to compress, why can't you able to compress a wooden block? Why can't you able to compress a wooden block? So what is the answer for this? Yes, the answer is no, we can't compress because the wooden block is a solid. Wooden block is a solid. So solids are not compressible. There are few exceptions like sponge. We can compress. That doesn't mean that sponge is a gas. Just air comes out of that. When the air is once you release the sponge, the air enters. So this is the conclusion for this. And the next one is very important concept, diffusion. So that is activity 4. Let us do that. Children, now let's see the another activity, activity 4, observing the diffusion of gases. So diffusion. So this is another phenomenon where you can observe in our daily lives. Yes, children, of course. Children, you may be observing in temples or in our houses, the burning incense stick, okay, creates a smell, okay, that is a good smell actually. That smell can be spread in the entire room, and sometimes when you open the door also, it spread outside also, right? So the same, one more, it is a common observation that when while going somewhere outside or inside the room also, when you use a deodorant or a perfume spray, when you use a deodorant or perfume spray on your clothes or on your body, okay, that spray smell or scent will be spread in the room, and when you go to the other room also, that smell can be detected by the people there, okay. That means, so these burning incense stick smell and the deodorant, the spray or the perfume, okay, these molecules will travel in the air. So how much speed they will be traveling, okay, and from which concentration to which concentration they are traveling are under the concept of diffusion. So diffusion is a process where the movement of molecules takes place from high concentration to low concentration, So inside the spray bottle, the concentration of the perfume will be more. So when you will spray that, so inside the air, in the air, the concentration of, before spraying, the concentration of spray molecules or the perfume molecules are less. So that is the reason the movement of molecules can be shifted from higher concentration to lower concentration. Now let us discuss these interesting things in this activity. Ask your friend. So here the concept is observing the diffusion of gases. Ask your friend to hold an unlit incense stick. Unlit means, what do you mean by unlit? So unlit means, so without lighting or without burning, okay. So the normal incense stick without burning or without lighting, okay, that is called as unlit incense stick. So ask your friend to hold an unlit incense stick and stand in the corner of the room. Then you go and stand in the other corner. See, this is very interesting, children. Ask your friend to hold an unlit incense stick. Unlit means You have not lit it. Okay, you are not lit it with a matchstick, you are not lit it with any lighter or something. That is normal only. Okay, take it from the pack and just holding at the corner of the room, and you go to the other corner of the room. You go to the other corner of the room and you just stand it. The question is, can you detect the smell of the incense stick? What is the answer? The answer is no, you can't detect. Why? Because that is not burning there, that is not littered. Okay, the lighting is not there. If in the second case, now ask your friend to hold the littered incense stick, the burning incense stick at one corner of the room, and you go to the other corner of the room. Now in the second case, you can feel the smell of the incense stick, burning incense stick with the help of your what, children? Nose. Yes or no? With the help of your nose. So here, ask your friend to hold an unlit incense stick and stand in one corner of the room. Then you go and stand in the other corner. Can you smell anything? The answer is no. Now ask your friend to light the incense stick. Now ask your friend to light the incense stick. Can you smell anything now? Yes. So when there is lighting only, you are detecting the smell. So without lighting the incense stick, or without burning, or without lighting, you can't detect the smell. So what happens when you lit the incense stick? So in the first case, you didn't detect any smell, but in the second case, you are detecting. So what makes the difference? Let us see here. Can you smell anything now? Yes, of course. When your friend lights the incense stick, the scent in the vapor form and smoke mixes with air. The scent in the vapor form. The scent in the vapor form. The scent in the vapor form and smoke both. Smoke will come from the burning incense stick and the scent also come. Yes or no? So the fragrance. So the scent in the vapor form and smoke mixes with air and move across the room. And reaches our nose. That is the reason in the second case we could find the smell. In this case, smoke, vapor of scent and air are gases. So smoke and vapor of scent, these two are gases. They are highly mobile. Mobile means they move from one place to another place. So here, next, this is one example. Let us go for another example. If you spray a perfume or deodorant in one corner of the room, it spreads soon to all directions. Like in the first example, the burning incense stick, okay, the scent plus the vapor, the scent in the vapor and smoke spread in the all directions. In the second example also, when you spray the perfume or deodorant spray, automatically when you press that, okay, so here also the spray will be spread in the entire room in all directions. Now the question, one more tricky question here. Does the smell from incense stick and deodorant spray reach someone on the other end at the same time? So this question is somewhat tricky. In the first case, in the first example, without lighting, okay, or without lighting the incense stick, your friend hold it there and you went to other side, and without lighting or without lighting, you can't detect the smell. But in the second case, your friend has lighted and the smoke is coming and the vapors in the spread in the entire room, and now you can detect. Now in the second example, ask your friend to hold the spray bottle without pressing or without spraying. Can you detect the smell? No. When you press that spray bottle or when you spray that perfume bottle only, you can detect the smell. Now the third question, which is tricky. Here, the first example is burning incense stick. In the second example is spraying the perfume. Now you go to the other end. Okay, your two friends are doing in one end, you go to the other end. One friend is holding the burning incense stick, the other friend is spraying the perfume. Yes, both the smells will come, both the vapors in that scent and smoke in the first case, not in the second case. Why? Because when you spray the perfume, smoke won't come. Yes or no? But in the two cases, the vapors will be mixing in the air and definitely will reach our nose. But the question is, which one will reach us first? Which one will reach us first? So which smell you can detect first is the answer here. And the question is, can we detect both the smell at the same time? No, it is highly impossible. It depends upon the concentration there, and depends upon the movement there, and depends upon the concept is diffusion. Okay, so diffusion of gases is different. The speed is different. Now let us do one more activity, that is activity 5. Okay, children, now see the activity 5, observing the diffusion of liquids. We have seen the diffusion of gases like burning incense stick and perfume spray. Now let us go for the diffusion of liquids. See children, for this observing the diffusion of liquids, now we have taken a round bottom flask. What is this children? Round bottom flask. Take 250 ml of round bottom flask with 2/3 of water in it. So the capacity is 250 ml. So the capacity of round bottom flask is 250 ml. In this we have taken 2/3 of water. How much? 2/3 of water in it. So this is round bottom flask. Okay, the capacity is, the volume is 250 ml, and we have taken 2/3 of water in it. 2/3 of water in it. Use a dropper. You know the dropper? Yes, this is the dropper. Okay, use a dropper and put a few drops of ink or potassium permanganate, red ink or potassium permanganate solution slowly along the side of the flask. So you can take either red ink or blue ink or potassium permanganate solution, whatever the thing you take, but be careful that it should be placed along the sides of the flask. So in the first step we have taken the round bottom flask and we have filled, the volume is 250 ml, we have filled 2/3 of this flask with water, and using a dropper we have to place the red ink or blue ink or potassium permanganate, not 3, any one you have to do. Right, see, next one. What do you observe after the addition of drop of ink or potassium permanganate? What do you observe children? The first thing is, when you add red ink or blue ink or potassium permanganate in this, slowly the ink will get dissolved in this water. Yes or no? Yes children, slowly this ink will be, yes, spreading through the water. It will be spreading through the water. That is the first answer. Can you observe the liquids also diffuse each other like gases? Yes, the answer is yes. We can observe the liquids also diffuse like gases. How much time does it take the color to spread evenly throughout the water? So if you observe slowly, see, this is the color. Yes or no? And this blue color is water, and we have added potassium permanganate or whatever, blue ink or red ink. Slowly this ink will be spread throughout the water and the water color finally changes. But the question is, how much time it will take? It will take nearly 1 hour. How much? Nearly 1 hour. What do you conclude from this activity? From this activity, it is clear that this is also an example for diffusion only. Slowly when you add the potassium permanganate crystals or red ink or blue ink, okay, you can't observe instantly the change of the color instantly, but slowly this liquid will be diffusing into the water, another liquid. So this is the thing. So once again I repeat the questions here. What do you observe after adding the drop of ink? When you add the drop of ink slowly, okay, this will be spreading in the water. And second question, can you observe that liquids also diffusion into each other like gases? The answer is yes. How much time does it take the color to spread evenly throughout the water? It takes nearly 1 hour. And what do you conclude from this experiment? It is clear that liquids also diffuse each other. Right, now let's go for the observing the diffusion of particles of solids into liquids. Particles of solids into liquids. Okay, so that is activity 6. Okay. Children, we have seen the diffusion of gases, we have seen the diffusion of liquids into liquids. Now it is observing the diffusion of particles of solids to liquids. We have seen the diffusion of gases into each other. We have seen the diffusion of liquids just now. Now it is the turn observing the diffusion of particles of solids into liquids. Take a beaker full of water. So I am taking here, this is a beaker full of water. Okay, so this is water, children. Take a beaker full of water. Then what you have to do, take a beaker full of water, and after that add a few crystals of potassium permanganate to it. Now add a few crystals. Add a few crystals of potassium permanganate. Children, do you know the formula of potassium permanganate? KMnO4. Add a few crystals of potassium. Okay, what is this? Permanganate. Potassium permanganate to it. Okay, this formula is KMnO4. Is the formula for potassium permanganate. So we have taken a beaker full of water and we have added potassium permanganate crystals. Those are solid. And repeat the experiment with crystals of copper sulfate. So after that, what did you observe? Yes, we observed that slowly the color will be changing. These crystals get dissolved. The solid will be dissolved in the liquid. That means here also, this is also diffusion only. Okay, and finally it get mixed with that water. And finally this will be dissolved here. So this is the particles of solid diffuses into the liquid. Example. One more example. In place of potassium permanganate, you can take copper sulfate, CuSO4. So copper sulfate. You can take copper sulfate. In case of potassium permanganate, you can take copper sulfate crystals also. When you take copper sulfate crystals, so I am drawing here, children, in the case of potassium permanganate. So this is water anyway, this is water, and we have taken, see, these are the crystals of copper sulfate. See, this is liquid, but this is solid. This is liquid, this is solid. So the solid particles get dissolved in the liquid. So this is the diffusion of solid particles into liquids. So here, repeat the experiment with crystals of copper sulfate. Do you observe diffusion? Yes, of course. Is it faster or slower? So when compared to the gases diffuse faster, and liquids, when compared to gases, liquids slow. When compared to liquids, solid particles are very slow. So here this is an increasing order. So what is the increasing order? In terms of diffusion I am telling. Solids, liquids, gases. Okay, so gases are very speed, children. Gases are very speed, and liquids. So here liquids are moderate, solids are very slow. So when you dissolve the solid, in the liquid, so here to melt or to dissolve or to diffuse, it takes some time when compared to liquid or gases. Okay, so that is the answer. Next one. So from the activities 4, 5 and 6, it is clear that solids and liquids diffuse into liquids. Yes or no? So solids and liquids diffuse into liquids, where gases diffuse into gases. So that is separate thing. Gases diffuse into gases. Okay, we have seen that burning incense stick. Yes or no? Burning incense stick and perfume spray, both are gases. They diffuse into gases. Whereas in this case, solids and liquids are diffusing into liquids. So here diffusion, what do you mean by diffusion? Diffusion is the movement of molecules from high concentration, children. Okay, so movement of molecules from high concentration to low concentration, high concentration to low concentration. This is called as diffusion. Whereas osmosis is different. Osmosis is different. So diffusion is the movement of a liquid or a gas from an area of high concentration to the area of low concentration. The particles will arise until they are evenly distributed. So the question is, so how much time will it take to dissolve potassium permanganate in this water? How much time? These particles should get evenly distributed in the water. Here also the copper sulfate particles should get evenly distributed in water until they attain equilibrium, until they attain the balance. These will be moving. So this is the time taken. This is the time taken. Certain gases from atmosphere, particularly oxygen and carbon dioxide, diffuse and dissolve in water and support the survival of aquatic plants and animals. Children, what do you mean by aquatic plants and animals? Aquatic plants. Children, can you give one example for aquatic plants? Hydrilla, lotus, Vallisneria, all these are aquatic plants. And aquatic animals. So many animals live inside the water. Yes or no? Like fish, frog, okay, so many you can observe. So what about the position? So we are living on the land, so in the land oxygen is available, we can take easily. Then what about the plants and animals that live inside the water? What about the oxygen availability? Yes, the oxygen from the air get dissolved in the water. Even the carbon dioxide also have that capacity to dissolve. Yes or no? Children, have you consumed soda? Soda is nothing but carbonated water, children. So here what I'm telling is gases, even diffusion liquids also. Yes or no? So soda is a mixture of carbon dioxide and water. So there the carbon dioxide get dissolved in the water. Like that oxygen also gets dissolved in the water. So when oxygen gets dissolved in the water, it helps in the survival, it helps in the living of plants and animals. So diffusion therefore is very important process for living things. During respiration, children, do you know respiration? Right from our childhood, second class we are learning this. Intake of oxygen and leaving out of carbon dioxide is called respiration. Actually that is breathing, children. So what happens when we take oxygen? When we take oxygen, the oxygen reaches our lungs, no doubt in that. From lungs where the oxygen goes to each and every cell. How is it possible? Yes, the oxygen should get mixed with blood. Yes or no? Oxygen good. Here see, should mix it with blood. Especially in the blood, hemoglobin is there. In the blood, hemoglobin. Okay, it is a pigment which has the capacity to bind the oxygen, which has the capacity to take the oxygen and supply to each and every cell, So here, during respiration, oxygen diffuses from lungs into blood and carbon dioxide diffuses from blood into lungs. See, children, I am explaining here. Here, see. So this is very quite interesting here. We take oxygen through our nose, and through our respiratory system the oxygen will be entering. For example, these are the lungs, okay, and this is the blood, okay, and these are the cells. Fine. So here, and this is nose. This is nose and atmosphere. This is atmosphere. See what happens, how the gas exchange will take place. The oxygen from the atmosphere enters to the nose, enters through the lungs, and from the lungs the oxygen goes to the blood and to the cells and tissues. In the same way, the carbon dioxide will comes like this, children, and it will be gone out. So the cells will give the carbon dioxide to blood, and blood will give the carbon dioxide to lungs, and from the lungs it comes to the nose, and we will exhale. So the gases exchange takes place in the lungs, in between blood and lungs. So lungs give oxygen to the blood give carbon dioxide to the lungs. This is how the exchange of gases takes place between the two organs, two things, lungs and blood. So this is, how is it possible? Through diffusion only. Through diffusion only. So solids, liquids and gases diffuse into liquids, and rate of gases is higher than that of, rate of diffusion of gases is higher than that of solids or liquids. Yes, no doubt. Solids, yes, they can get already we have seen potassium permanganate and copper sulfate crystals. So solids diffuse into liquids. Okay, solids diffuse into liquids, and here it is very clear that solids, liquids and gases diffuse into liquids, So solids diffuse into liquids, liquids diffuse into liquids, gases diffuse into liquids. So solids plus gases. We have seen example of KMnO4. Okay, so KMnO4 is potassium permanganate and CuSO4. Okay, plus water, plus solids plus liquids, solids plus liquids plus water. Here also plus water. Liquids plus liquids, liquids plus liquids. We have seen liquids plus liquids. Ink plus water, ink plus water. And next one, third case you can see gases plus water, gases plus water. So that is O2 plus water, oxygen plus water and carbon dioxide plus water. So that means it is very clear that solids, liquids, gases are diffusing into the water, diffusing into the liquids. But one more thing here it is, if you observe, so which, and the gases diffuse into gases, diffuse into gases. So if you will observe the rate of diffusion, rate means per time, sorry, per minute or per second, whatever. Okay, the rate is very much good in gases only. From this, it is clear that rate of diffusion is higher than that of solids or liquids. Now let us go for one more lab activity, diffusion of two gases. Okay. Children, now see diffusion of two gases. Here we have two gases. One is ammonia, NH3, and hydrogen chloride gas. Let's see. Already I told you, here see children, while performing any activity or any experiment, you have to follow certain rules. First of all, we have to write the aim. What is our aim here? To observe the speed of two gases, diffusion of two gases. To observe the speed of diffusion of two gases. Anyway, the two gases will diffuse, but which one faster? Which one is faster? Let us see. So here, diffusion of two gases, this is a lab activity. Our aim is to observe the speed of diffusion of two gases. The materials required. What are the materials that are required? So here the materials, okay, so aim is to observe the speed of diffusion of two gases, And what are the materials that are required? Long glass tube with scale. Long glass tube with scale. Okay, so long glass tube with scale. Anyway, the scale is also here in this. And next one, liquid ammonia. HCl, hydrogen chloride, and pieces of cotton. So here the pieces of cotton. And next one, two rubber corks. So this is one rubber cork and this is another rubber cork. Two rubber corks. Pair of tongs. See children, the materials that are required for this experiment are long glass tube with scale, liquid ammonia, HCl, hydrogen chloride, pieces of cotton, two rubber cock pair of tongs. And one note is here, be careful while handling HCl. Why? Because it is doing in front of the children, no? Okay, so HCl is a strong acid. HCl is a strong acid. If you touch accidentally also, it may burn. Okay, that is the reason it may cause burns. That is the reason teacher should be careful here. Procedure: take one 1 meter long narrow glass tube. So this is 1 meter long narrow glass tube. Long narrow glass tube. Take 1 meter long narrow glass tube. And next one, take 1 meter long narrow glass tube. Take 2 pieces of cotton. What is the use of cotton here? Let us see. Soak one in hydrochloric acid solution, another in ammonium solution. So take 2 pieces of cotton. One cotton should be dipped in HCl, the other one in ammonia. Insert them separately at 2 ends of the tube with the help of tongs. So we have taken the pair of tongs also. Don't touch with your hands, children. Okay, so tongs are like this. So you have observed the tongs anyway? So the tongs are like this, children. So what you have to do? You have to take 2 pieces of cotton. One cotton should be dipped in HCl, the other cotton should be dipped in ammonia. And don't touch with your hands. The cotton which is dipped in HCl and ammonia, the 2 cotton should be kept at 2 ends with the help of tongs only and close with the rubber cork. Close with the rubber cork. At the same time, close the ends of the glass tube with rubber cork. Now this is about the procedure. So once again I repeat the procedure. Take one long narrow glass tube 1 meter and take 2 cotton balls. Okay, soak one in HCl, hydrochloric acid, the other in ammonia, and insert these 2 cotton balls. One end is with HCl, the other end is with NH3, and be careful that don't touch the cotton balls with your hand. Okay, with the help of tongs you can remove and keep here. And one more thing, after inserting the cotton balls here, close the 2 ends with the help of rubber corks. Close the 2 ends with the help of rubber corks. This is the procedure. Now let us go for the observation. So here see, the observation is, the hydrochloric acid gives off hydrogen chloride gas, ammonia solution gives off ammonia gas. From this end, which gas will come? Hydrogen chloride. Hydrogen chloride. And from this end, which gas will come? Ammonia. So both the gases equal to, both the ends are there. Okay, here which one is there? HCl with cotton end is there, NH3 cotton is here. But if you'll observe, these 2 gases travel, these 2 gases diffuse. Okay, from here HCl gas will diffuse into the tube, and from here ammonia gas will diffuse into the tube. Okay, but if you'll observe the distance, here the distance is less, here the distance is less, here the distance is more. That means the gas has traveled more distance. Which gas? Ammonia. Ammonia is lighter in weight. Okay, travel more distance when compared to HCl. HCl is heavier. So from this experiment, it is clear that yes, no doubt the 2 gases will travel, but not with the same speed. The speeds will be differing. Okay, the speeds will be differing. How can you calculate? By seeing the distance, and these 2 gases will meet internally and a white ring is formed, Okay, so here white fumes of white ring is formed. That ring is ammonium chloride. So this ring is ammonium chloride. So the chemical reaction will take place between HCl and ammonia. Ammonium chloride will be formed. Okay, so what is the ring? Ammonium chloride, which is a white ring. So once again I repeat, here one end is with which cotton? HCl, the other end is NH3. After some time the gases will be diffusing. From here ammonia gas will come, from here hydrogen chloride. These gases will travel inside the tubes and meet at a place, okay, and that place the chemical reaction will takes place between the two gases and ammonia chloride is formed. Now our concept is not the formation of any product. Our concept is to see which gas travels faster. Yes, this is a diffusion. Either that gas diffuses faster or this gas diffuses faster. This means HCl, that means ammonia. Yes, ammonia diffuses faster. How can you say that? See the distance. So see the distance here. See the distance here. So here from this experiment it is clear that, conclusion, it is clear that gases, okay, the speed of diffusion of gases is different for different okay, gases. Explain here how did the two gases travel along the tube? Internally. Okay, the two gases travel along the tube internally. Which gas traveled faster? Ammonia. Why? That is lighter in weight. What do you observe when you here see? Next one. You can see here. Do this. So far you have studied two questions we have discussed. So far we have studied some properties that can be used to distinguish between solids, liquids and gases. Fill the following table based on your knowledge. So the table is there, children. In the table, property, solid, liquid, gas. You just complete that table. Shape. Children, what is the shape of the solid? What is the shape of the liquid? What is the shape of the gas? Volume, what is the volume of the solid? What is the volume of the liquid? What is the volume of the gas? Compressibility, what is the, here see, so compressibility of solid, compressibility of liquid, compressibility of gas. Next one, diffusion, diffusion of solid, diffusion of liquid, diffusion of gas. Now let us answer this table, okay. Children, do this. So we have a table. The first column is property. And here we have to write the properties of solids, liquids and gas. Already two are done for us. One is the shape of a solid is fixed. The shape of a solid is fixed. Okay. What about the shape of the liquid? Is it fixed, children? No, not fixed. Why? Because it occupies the shape of container. It occupies the shape of container. And gas, it is also not fixed. Okay, right. Let us coming to the volume. Let us coming to the volume. Here say the solids has fixed volume. Liquids also have fixed volume. Liquid's shape is not fixed, but it has fixed volume, like 250 ml, 5 ml, 10 ml, like that. What about the gas? It is not fixed. So gas neither do not have definite shape nor definite volume. Okay, right. Compressibility. Have you seen the compressibility in that syringe experiment? Yes or no? So solids are not compressible. No, you can write not compressible. Okay, and liquids can we compress the liquid, children? Can we compress the liquid? So with the help of syringe, yes, we have seen that water, yes, these can be compressible, but you have to create some conditions. You have to create some conditions. So you can write simply, you can write no here. Gas, yes, they are compressible. Yes, they are compressible. Right, coming to the diffusion. So the diffusion of solids is slow, diffusion of liquids is fast, and this is faster. So here actually liquids are also compressible, but you have to apply certain conditions. Okay, so they may compressible, you can write, or you can write simply, you can write nay. For example, if you take this one, water can't be compressed in a bottle, yes or no? That bottle volume only it is occupying. That is the reason you can write no. So here once again I repeat, shape of a solid is fixed, shape of a liquid is not fixed, shape of a gas is not fixed. Volume of a solid is fixed, volume of a liquid is fixed, volume of a gas is not fixed. Compressibility, solids are not compressible, liquids are not compressible, gases are compressible. Diffusion of the solids is slow and liquids is fast and gases is faster. Okay, very much fast. These are very fast. Okay, so these are fast and these are faster, right? So more you can observe where with very high speed these gases will be diffused. Right, children? So this is about the table which is on the board. Now next concept is, can matter changes its state? Yes, we can observe in the case of water, solid to liquid, liquid to vapor. This we will discuss later.